So now we find ourselves at a tomb. It's 4 days we've been at this tomb. Come up here, guys. Jackson, get in your tomb. Because now we have a different situation here. What we have here is we have a different type of worship now. We talked about worship at the hilltop, what that means, how exciting that is. The kind of things that we want to express to the Lord about the enjoyment that we have with the relationship, and to pray for protection over all those things that would threaten this hilltop experience, this hilltop relationship. We've also seen this worship in the valley, where we see that there is pain, there is confusion, there is frustration, there is hurt. But we also see over and over again in our own lives, and here in this particular story, that God reveals enough of himself so that we can keep on walking one step at a time. But now we're at another place of worship. We're at the grave. Not just any kind of grave, we're at an open grave. And why are we even here? It's not because the crowd found themselves here. It's because Jesus, come over here. Mary and Martha, come over here for a second. Jesus said, let's go to the tomb. So they were asked by Jesus to go to where Lazarus was dead. Now all the disciples were there with him, and the crowd that was there with him. We're all at this place at the tomb. We're all here now at this place looking at the tomb. Now there's a stone that's rolled over it, right? And so when Jesus says to the disciples, or says to whoever, says they, he says that remove the stone. And Scripture says, and they rolled the stone away. I want to know who they are. It doesn't say in Scripture who they are. Could have been the disciples, possibly. Could have been Mary and Martha, not likely. Could have been Jesus, who knows? Could have been the Jews. It could be very well the possibility that the Jews were the ones who rolled the stone away. But either way, what we're looking at now is that there's death. We're at the grave, and now Jesus says, let's not just be right here on the outside of this grave. He says, let's roll the stone away. And we know what Martha says because of that. Martha says wisely, it's been 4 days, Jesus. It stinks. He's been dead for 4 days. Look in verse 38. It says, then Jesus, deeply moved again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. And Jesus said, take the stone away. And Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time there will be an odor, for he's been dead for 4 days. And Jesus said to her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? And so they took the stone away. When I look at this event here with Jesus right smack in the middle of it, I'll turn you this way, just like that. That work? Right in the middle of this event, when I see this in my own life, my own place of worship, this place at the grave, I obviously go to the funeral of my daughter. And I remember that moment because there were a lot of people around me at that time, a lot around my wife at that time. And they were doing the same thing the Jews were doing for Mary and Martha. They were comforting us. And they did a great job comforting us. The church that we were at did a great job. The church that we came from also came. We just had people all over the place. To the point to where my dad, who was a person who, he's still living, so I don't know why I'm using was, but my dad is a person who likes to keep to himself. And so being in a crowd full of people was a little bit uncomfortable for him, except when he saw the generosity and the type of comfort that my church family was giving to my wife and I. He looked at me and said, I get it. I understand now. This makes total sense why you'd want to be involved with these people. So we have this situation here, and I'm looking at this, and all the while I have in my own life, I'm looking at all the people trying to comfort me, but my eyes cannot keep away from looking at this little tiny casket. I can't keep my eyes away from it. I try to break free from it, and I try to talk and be with people, but my eyes go right back to the grave. So I'm staring at this grave. Everything seems hopeless. And especially now that Jesus says to them, roll the stone away. And now it's exposing this big black hole in the ground. And it's right there in front of us. Does this sound familiar for some of us here? The pain is so strong, the pain is so severe that the hole is right in front of you. Everything you do, everything you think, everything you want to believe is corrupted by this hole. You try to push it away and it snaps right back. You try to pray it away and it comes right back. There's something going on with this hole. And Jesus is the one who said, roll the stone away. Let's look inside the hole. This was hard for me to think about. Worshipping at the grave. He asks everybody to come to the grave, to come to the hole. And everybody is just staring at the hole, wondering what Jesus is going to do next. No one knows. We know because we know the story well enough, right? But we don't know what Jesus is going to do next. Here's what he does. He turns in verse 40. Let's go 41. So he took the stone away. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. You know what this sounds like to me? I wonder if everybody is expecting Jesus to do another eulogy. Maybe the Jews and maybe the people around are going, oh, this is Jesus' time to say some nice words about Lazarus, about his relationship. Father, I thank you for bringing me here. Thank you for bringing us here. Because they don't know, right? We know, but so try to put yourselves in their situation, their position. What do they know? Jesus has to roll the stone away. He wants to pay his respects. Jesus is a famous guy, and so he says, I want to give my last eulogy. Everybody's expecting a eulogy. Some nice words. But that doesn't happen, does it? Instead of saying nice words about the dearly departed, he says something completely and totally different. He looks into the hole, this big black hole that's a grave, and says, Lazarus, come out. Now, I want to slow us way down here for a second because I don't know if it's just me or what, but I want all of us to examine this scene right here, okay? We're looking at the hole. We have the disciples. We have Jesus. We have Mary and Martha. We have all of us here who is wondering what is happening. And Jesus looks into the hole and he says, Lazarus, come out. You know that moment in your life where like a bike accident for those of us guys, you know, when you're riding your bike and you have that accident, everything goes in slow motion. You just see the ground coming up really fast. I'm wondering right now, at this moment here, what was everybody doing? They're looking at the hole. Jesus just said something really remarkable, and now everybody's just staring at the hole. What's happening? What's just going to happen? Mary and Martha, what is happening? The Jews out here, what is happening? The disciples are going, well, I know what's going to happen, because they know this whole thing, right? So in this moment, in this time that's slowing down moment, where we're staring at the grave, at whatever it is that is this pain that we have in our lives that's so big that we can't get rid of it. And now Jesus just says to us, life, come out. What belongs in a grave? Dead people. Thank you, Anna. Dead people belong in a grave. But not this one. This one, Lazarus, comes out of the grave. And he does this because Jesus has the power. John, the writer of this gospel, he is focusing all of our attention at this moment. This miracle is the last miracle before the crucifixion. Everything about this moment right here is focused on what is happening, what is going to come out of this grave, what's going to come out of this hole. Life comes out of the hole, because here's the thing. Jesus does not do eulogies. Jesus does not do funerals. Life comes out of the relationship that Jesus has. The things and the power that Jesus has over death conquers those things. He does not do funerals. He looks at the grave, he looks at the hole and says, life, you're going to come out of this. So I have this hole. My wife and I had this hole. I can say now, 11 years later, after the death of Anne Marie, 11 years later, I can show you time and time again, where life did come out. Didn't come out the way I thought it would. Didn't come out the way we oftentimes think it does. But life comes out of this hole. Jackson, you're not dead anymore. Get up out of here. Here's the principle. Worshiping at the grave means that we need to see God as sovereign and simply trust that. The grave doesn't go away because Jesus doesn't do funerals. Life comes out of this grave. Let's worship some more.